Happy 30 years of Batman Forever. Earlier this year, on the anniversary date of June 16th, we released our scene-by-scene breakdown of the work print cut of the movie known as the Schumacher Cut. But the celebration didn't end there. On Sunday, September 28th, 2025, I moderated the movie's 30th anniversary panel over at LA Comic-Con. This featured the screenwriters Lee and Janet Scott Batchler, as well as the Batman franchise executive producer Michael Uslan. We have the footage and audio to share with you now, and after the panel, stay on for more as Alex will be joining me to talk about new factoids we've learned about the movie, deeper dives, and the Batman Day event on the WB lot that also celebrated the 30th anniversary of the movie. I'm Ben Wan, and this is Batman Forever Stuff You Should Know.
Let's start this party with a bang. Welcome. Welcome, everybody, to the 30th anniversary of Batman Forever. I am your host for this morning. I'm Ben Wan, and this is Superhero Stuff You Should Know. We're a podcast specializing in nostalgic superhero movies, mostly known for our coverage of the 90s Batman movies, including, of course, Batman Forever. We cover alternate casting, deleted scenes, early drafts of scripts, alternate director's cuts, which we're probably going to address immediately once I'm done here. But we've had several episodes specifically on Batman Forever, including an interview with our two guests at the end, Lee and Janet Scott Batchler, the screenwriters of the movie. These were the first writers on board, and it's because of them that we get the general structure and story of this movie. They were the ones who pitched the Riddler as the villain to Joel Schumacher, and they created Dr. Chase Meridian. So please welcome the Batchlers. And of course, the man next to me should be known to all of you, but if not, this is the man who went on his own Batman-like quest to bring the dark and serious Batman to the movies and to the big screen. And he's the boy who loved Batman. He is the one who is responsible for why we even have this as one of the most successful franchises. Please welcome Dr. Michael Uslan. So we're just going to start with what everyone's here to talk about. Based off of what, Michael, you addressed this as, what was the analogy, a gorilla?
It's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, folks. I can see him, I can feel him.
We have a sign among the audience already to release the Schumacher Cut.
Release the Schumacher Cut.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah, and that has nothing to do with circumcision, by the way. This is a hot topic. And let me tell you, first of all, that Joel Schumacher was a friend. I love the guy. He was one of the nicest people you would ever want to meet. Talented man, and was given a directive for how the studio wanted this movie delivered, and he operated within those specifics. Yes, there is extended footage. There is extended footage that Joel had. And the thing that everybody needs to understand is that the studio doesn't have like a magic wand that it can just wave and all of a sudden the Schumacher Cut is released. It doesn't have a switch that it can just flip and there it is. This is let's call it a video of an assembly of a work print. And that means it needs massive restoration. And that costs lots and lots of money. In addition to the restoration and the investment, it also requires a marketing and distribution plan. So that's a big task. And I like to think, well, if Steven Spielberg was told, we got extended footage that you did way back when of Jaws, and we're going to release in movie theaters and on DVD a video of an assembly of a work print of your Jaws, I don't think he would be pleased. And I don't think Joel would be pleased for this. He would want to see a full restoration. He would want to see his work presented in the right possible way. So what I can tell you is this. I've been speaking to some of the good folks over at Warner, And you need to keep your cards and emails coming in and express your passion, but in a nice way. In a nice way, because these people are going to read and they are going to listen. And this is going to be a process. And I think we all need to express that passion and just keep that going.
Thank you. Over to Janet and Lee. I mean, obviously you've heard about this fan movement to have this released, and it must be really surreal in terms of like, this is a movie that you wrote over 30 years ago, and we've had 30 years of other Batman movies since, as Michael definitely knows and had a hand in. But now we have this renaissance, this resurgence of it. We have Batman Forever action figures are now re-released over at Target. Like, how does this feel to see like, oh, fans want not just this, like, to see more of this movie, but like more of scenes, some of which you wrote, some of which were written by Akiva Goldsman, but more of some of what you had.
You know, it's pretty wonderful to see that the movie is still loved after all these years. You know, if you look at a list of releases from 30 years ago, you don't recognize most of them. You know, I look at them like, did I see that? I mean, I think I did, but I don't remember anything about it. It's an honor and a privilege to have just a tiny footprint in the Batman universe. And it's really lovely that people do come back and see what amounts to an older movie, you know, and still enjoy it after all this time. I love it. As Ben sort of mentioned, I'm also a professor at the USC Film School, and you know, when my students come and ask me a question about my movie, I'm like, you weren't born when this movie came out, and you love it, and that just, it makes me feel sort of wonderful. So it's a privilege to still have it around.
Yeah, we saw a screening of it recently down in Santa Ana, and I hadn't looked at it for a very long time, and I sort of like, it was almost like a new experience for me. Like, this is fun. There's a lot of joy in this movie, and that was like, okay, I remember when it came out, how good the movie made me feel, and I got to feel that again. That was really nice.
I just have to add for a second. First of all, it is such an honor to be sitting here with Janet and Lee again. I remember the first time I saw the film completed, and it opens with a line where Alfred goes, "Sir, may I prepare a sandwich?" And he goes, "No, I'll get drive-through." I go, "Wait a minute, that was not in their script. That was not them. Who put that in?" It was not them.
Right. And that's one of the things that I thought we should talk about, is things that were in the original script, things that are presumably in the Schumacher cut that people are interested in. It's gone kind of through a sort of long process of people rediscovering unseen material. You can see it in novelizations, you can see it in a comic book adaptation, you can find it on the scripts online, including one of the ones that the Batchlers here wrote. So some of these include, one Easter egg that's not in the scripts that I know you had told us once about, that I'm sure, Michael, you would love to hear, is the fact that one Easter egg that Janet told me was that there was going to be the giant penny in the Batcave in one of the scripts. So,
All right, wait a minute. Comic book geek time. Does anyone know the one true original date that was on the giant penny in the Hall of Trophies in the Batcave? Nobody.
buddy.
Okay, so I'm going to geek out here. I'm going to tell you something that very few of us know. It should have been 1947, because in the first time the big penny showed up, it was in World's Finest number 30, The Case of the Penny Plunderers. And that was published in 1947. That's the date on the giant penny. You now know something. You could win any Batman trivia contest.
Seriously. You win all the geek awards today, Michael.
Yeah, oh, could it be a hint of how the way I'm dressed?
Let's see, but I think one of the big things that the reason why people want to see this is due to the fact that there's so much more Bruce Wayne. There's so much more Batman in this. So for those who don't know what is in this, because I think ironically out of the people on this stage, I'm the only one who's actually seen this extended cut, which is, like Michael said, it is a work print. VHS version, but it is a subplot of Bruce Wayne gripping with his duality, and one of the scenes that I know went through many different phases, but did start with you two, was this deleted scene of Bruce confronting his fears and his childhood trauma with the giant bat in the Batcave, which you can all see on YouTube. But finding that aspect that everyone wants to see, I think is like a big testament in terms of your understanding of the character. And I thought we should harken back to that. That's a big reason why you got this job. That's a big reason why you're the writers on this. So there's a lot of like misconception in terms of like the development of this. But from what I remember you telling me, Janet, by the time you're brought in, Tim Burton's already stepped down, mainly as a producer. Joel Schumacher's already the director, but Tim is still on to oversee the passing of the torch. So it's actually Tim Burton who hires you two.
Yeah,
Right.
he was in the room, and
Yeah.
we had to get his approval, and when he sort of bluntly said, "So what do you think Batman is about?" And Jan said,
Oh, I said Batman is about duality. I said, because, you look at Superman is Clark Kent, but everybody else is everybody. Lois Lane is always Lois Lane. And Jimmy Olsen is always Jimmy Olsen. I said, but Batman, everybody has a dual identity. It's not just Batman and Bruce Wayne. Everybody has a dual identity.
Oswald
That's-
Cobblepot is the Penguin.
And we said that's what the heart of Batman is.
And Jan-
Duality. And Tim just sort of leaned back in his chair and said, yes. I think we got this job.
So, and then continuing forward in terms of, you've got this job, the screenplay is now in your hands, but there's some mandates in terms of what needs to happen in here. Tell us about what led to the villains.
Well, the first mandate was they had a release date, and they didn't really know what the story was going to be. That was our job. So they handed us that we're going to have two villains, and we were kind of hoping for one, but okay, that's a carryover from the previous film. But it struck us, okay, how do we handle this and have it not be, just pile-on of too much to follow? And we thought, okay, if this is about duality, let's have one of the villains Bruce Wayne's villain, and the other villain is Batman's villain. So to serve both sides of Batman's personality, that's how we came up with the Riddler is going to be Bruce Wayne's villain. And eventually the two joined forces, but that's how that came about.
And they came to us with Two-Face already in place. They said, we want to do Two-Face, but we're completely open on who the other villain should be. And of course, at this point, outside of the comic book world, there were the two movies that Michael had sort of resurrected and almost single-handedly brought back to life. But other than that, there was the 1960s TV show. We said, okay, there's still an audience out there. There's still an audience out there that remembers the 1960s TV show. So let's think about those villains, because they will be more accessible, where only the comic book people are going to know who Two-Face is. So let's find a villain that the bigger audience will recognize and say, oh, I've heard of them. I'll go see this movie. So we ended up with the Riddler, again, as Lee said, to battle Bruce, and Two-Face to battle Batman.
And,
Michael?
yeah, in kind of the next step, I had an early conversation with Joel, and he was explaining his vision to me. He said, we've got the Riddler and Two-Face. He said, I see it as taking the Joker and bisecting the Joker into two supervillains, with the Riddler being the over-the-top crazy guy and Two-Face being the maniacal, absolutely deadly guy. And I thought that was a real interesting approach to take to that. And regarding Two-Face, my ongoing, it wasn't a spat, it was a friendly battle with Joel. He kept wanting to call Two-Face Harvey Two-Face. I go, no, he's Two-Face. He's Two-Face. Yeah, he's Harvey Dent, but he's Two-Face. And the script at that point, I think, had a lot of Harvey Two-Face
Yeah, Joel sort of
references.
put it back in.
Yeah, that was Joel's thing. And bit by bit, we got them taken out. There's still a couple, I think, or a few that are in there. But that was just one of the battles that only a total geek could ever have.
And I think with Two-Face, there's an interesting thing that people notice with going from 89 Returns and Batman Forever, where it's just like, well, Billy D. Williams was Harvey Dent in 89. What happened there? But from what my understanding is, it wasn't a situation where, because there's all these stories about like Billy D. Williams' contract got bought out, which he was just like, no, I was just doing the one movie. Like this was one where Joel Schumacher already wanted Tommy Lee Jones.
He wanted Tommy Lee Jones. He told us that in our very first meeting. He said, you're writing for Tommy Lee Jones as Harvey Two-Face. So that was a done deal when we came on.
And then when you come up with Riddler, we do get the great Jim Carrey in the role, but that's not actually who you originally were writing for.
We wrote it for Robin Williams.
And that is something that, like when I first found that out, it's so difficult sometimes for me to look at the script and think anyone else other than Jim Carrey in that. But I can also see what you were planting with Robin Williams.
Well, and at the time, Jim Carrey was really fresh in his career. And at the time, people read the script and they couldn't see anybody other than Robin Williams doing it. And somebody we know who knew Robin up in the Bay Area ran into him the weekend he was reading the script, and he said, I love the script. I want to do it. I want to do it. And then his agents basically said, we're going to hold him up for more money because we can, because there's nobody else in town who can play this part but you. And the thing is that there was somebody else in town who could play the part.
Oh my God, is that the way Hollywood really works?
It's great to see you. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, with that, it's you can see if you look at the original comics, Riddler looks just like Robin Williams. Like it's really understandable why that would be the first choice, and a lot of people kind of love that as an alternative casting. I think with that, again, I had some trouble seeing it, but I think if you go on YouTube, there is an audio drama that I had a hand in where we had a great impressionist and actor who did Robin Williams' voice, doing the lines that he had originally written, and that's when it finally clicked for me. That like, okay, this is the Robin Williams style for that. So if you guys want to check that out, that's Newverse Creative. That's NEUVERSE. Well, I'm getting the plug in, like Stan would say, right? Like, yeah, I had a hand in adapting like some of your material, Akiva Goldson's material, and then I got to voice Michael Keaton Batman in one, and then Val Kilmer's Batman in the other. So it was a great experience because I love this movie so much. I think one of the things too with Batman is that we have to address with this year is that unfortunately we are left with the passing of Val Kilmer this year. And I thought we should spend some time to talk about his legacy and your experiences and memories of him.
Well, I loved his performance because it was restrained. It was there was kindness, especially his relationship towards Dick Grayson. It wasn't all dark. There was some light there, but it was a very subdued and controlled performance. He was a marvelous actor, and I miss him. He was nice to us, but he was very focused on. Whenever we were on the set, he was focused on what he was doing. So it wasn't like super social. Whereas Jim Carrey was like, "Oh, Jan, sit in my seat."
He let me sit in his chair. He was like, "You shouldn't be standing." I was like, "Actors."
Yes, he's just he's just a very gregarious person.
Yeah.
But I thought that it served the character well, what he brought to it.
I have to add in here, all of the Batman movies are not really truly about Batman. They are all about Bruce Wayne. And I think Val Kilmer was a fantastic Bruce Wayne. There was an era in the Batman comics in the 1970s when they were returning him to his darker roots. And there was a run in Detective Comics by Marshall Rogers and Steve Englehart. And it was a darkly, darkly romantic version of Bruce Wayne. And it evoked in me a Broadway play I saw back in the 70s. It was Frank Langella as Dracula. And it later became a movie with Frank in it. And what Frank did was he took vampirism, Dracula, and made it sexual and darkly attractive. And at the end of the first act on Broadway, with his lovely victim laying there with her neck exposed, and him enveloping her with the cape and going down with his fangs, and then it went to black. And then the lights come on in the theater, and all you heard was, it was that kind of a thing that Langella brought to Dracula, and I thought in a way that Val brought it to Bruce Wayne Batman. It was very interesting, but I thought he did a magnificent job.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up the Marshall Rogers, Steve Englehart arc, because I've always thought when I first, because I had seen Batman Forever before I read that arc, and then I get to a point where you've got Silver St. Cloud, who's kind of like, you know, she's been in bed and stuff, and then Batman comes in through the window, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Batman Forever. So, but yeah, I mean, I always saw Val Kilmer as the embodiment of that 1970s Batman, the romantic one, I think is how you describe it.
Yes, for Val Kilmer, but in terms of the movie itself,
Well,
in my humble opinion, I can kind of characterize each Batman movie, at least out of the first four, as being in sync with a different era of the comic book version of Batman. So to me, Tim's first Batman movie was Batman circa 39-40, before Robin, first meeting the Joker. Batman Returns, that was more like the DC Comics of the 1990s, really, really, really dark. And by the way, I always describe those two movies. I always say that Batman 1989 was a Batman movie directed by Tim Burton, and Batman Returns was a Tim Burton movie starring Batman. And with Batman Forever, I think what Joel captured was Batman of the late 1940s and 1950s by Bill Finger and Dick Sprang, of Batman and Robin together, jumping all over giant typewriter keys, punting their way against this magnificent rogues gallery of supervillains. And I think he really successfully captured that era in this film.
Yeah, Joe kept saying, I want to make a living comic book. And you see that in the technicolor of it all.
The design.
The design, the bright colors, and the fun.
for sure. I think you even cited some of those comics to me in terms of the ones that you consulted for that. I mean, obviously you've got the Origin of Robin, the Riddler, Two-Face. I believe also at one point you told me you read Nightfall as well for the 90s.
We read everything. We were on an airplane once on a flight, and we had surrounded by comic books and a book about the psychology of Batman, and we're just reading because we're working. We're trying to crack the story, and the stewardess is, "Can I get you anything?" She's like, "We're working." No, we're reading your comics, and we just immersed ourselves in that world.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely see that too, in terms of the living comic book aspect, the 1940s, the big props, like Michael was talking about. In terms of the psychology aspect that you've talked a lot to me about in past interviews, like that's where the Dr. Chase Meridian character comes in. Let's talk a little bit in terms of the creation of her, because it was kind of one where you were told, hey, like, we can't bring back the previous actresses. We're not bringing back Vicky Vale. There's some people who think like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was due to come back in the third one. Not true. They were trying to do the spin-off at the time.
Right.
You were told specifically you can't bring in Catwoman. So how does Dr. Chase Meridian get created?
Well, once we dove into the idea of Batman and Bruce Wayne sort of as two sides of the same person and the duality of it all, really, here's the thing. Bruce Wayne is a somewhat disturbed individual. He's got some mental health issues that he cannot resolve. Because if he ever resolves them, he can't be Batman anymore. And so it is for the good of the world that he does not resolve these issues. So that's another way in which he is being torn. And we said, so to explore that, why don't we have him fall in love with a psychiatrist who can see through him, who can see through all the divisions and the things that he's buried and the secrets that he's hiding, and who can sort of see the inner person that we usually don't get to see in a Batman story. And that became Dr. Chase Meridian. The Meridian name is because he's divided down the middle, and she's the one who can hopefully bridge that divide.
Yeah.
which I found to be clever too. I mean, it did make me think like, okay, how come he doesn't have a psychiatrist love interest in the comics? Like this seems like a no-brainer here.
Somebody you can talk to.
Somebody who he realizes this person understands me.
Mhm.
It's the superhero version of The Sopranos. It just dawned on me.
We're ahead of our.
It's true. I hadn't thought about that. And then let's go a little bit into what was in some of your scripts that might not have made it into the final film. I mean, the original opening, as you can see in a lot of the comic book adaptation, YouTube deleted scenes, but the original opening is Two-Face breaking out of Arkham with a message that the Bat must die. We have several references actually to the previous Batman movies, including a sequence at the end where the Riddler uses the box to make Batman hallucinate the Joker, Penguin, the Catwoman. And a lot of people are kind of like, well, especially seeing Michael Keaton come back in The Flash, we're very much more continuity obsessed these days. And some people are wondering, like, is it still connected to the Burton-verse? And I think based off, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but based off of our conversations, you wrote it as the sequel
As a sequel,
to the
yeah.
Tim Burton movies. Whereas Michael, I know you feel like the final movie is a separate universe.
Yeah, I do.
So take that for what you will.
Yeah, well, we talk about the script. There was nothing in their script that mentioned the word nipples, by the way. That was purely a part of the vision of Joel, working with Bob Ringwood. And I asked him about that. I asked him like this. I think he thought that superheroes were a modern day mythology. And if you go back to all the Greek and Roman myths that our superheroes have modernized and used, all the statues, all the paintings, well, that's what they show. Nobody thought it would become Nipplegate and become this thing. But I had a very, very difficult time kind of understanding it. But when you have a director who has a vision and has a knowledge and love for a character, everybody's job is to be supportive of the filmmaker and whatever that vision is, provided it doesn't undermine the integrity of the character and the integrity of the creators of the character. So, there they are, but it was not in their script.
Let's go in terms of costuming, though. One really clever idea that was not filmed, but I always loved when I told you about it, is that we originally were going to have a sequence of Edward Nygma stalking Bruce and Chase to the circus, where there is a sort of fortune-telling leprechaun who's there, and Edward takes him over. He basically puts him on the box, takes his costume, goes undercover, but when all the stuff goes down with Two-Face and the Graysons, he leaves the leprechaun outfit, which he then starts adding some question marks on and stuff. And that was a Joel idea, I think is what you told me at one point, given the costume.
Yeah, because Joel came out of the costuming world in many ways, and so that he thought that way.
Yeah, he was costume designer and production designer before he became a director.
And he was doing window displays too.
Oh,
Yes,
in New
he
York.
started
In
off
New York, yeah.
New York.
He designed Stephen Sondheim's famous apartment that was the inspiration for Sleuth. Sleuth.
Yeah.
The games on every wall.
Wow. Yeah, no, I hadn't known that about that aspect. I knew about the window because that is kind of an Easter egg in one of the Batman animated series where there's a kid named Joel who's outside a place that says Schumacher or Shoemaker on it, dressing up a window. So like that's obviously was a reference to Joel. And then of course one of the other big deleted scenes was Bruce, after getting shot by Two-Face, getting that amnesia, only remembering his life as Bruce Wayne, not as Batman, and then going into the cave, the deep part of the cave, to confront that giant bat in a scene that you pulled from The Dark Knight Returns. Really. Yeah. It's even quoted in one of your original scripts of the bat coming towards them and stuff. Do you feel like you personally miss some of these things in the movie, or do you kind of feel like everything that made it was what you were already attached to?
Well, I feel that our editor, Dennis Burkler, was very, very respectful of the structure that we were trying to do. And he really sort of angled his work to preserving the essentials of the story that need to be told without going into too many detours. So I feel like there's very little that we wrote that I don't feel is missing. It's essentially what's there is some very fun stuff that Akiva brought to it, but I don't feel like anything precious that we wrote is missing.
Gotcha. And then, Michael, based off of what you know or might remember of stuff that was cut, do you feel sort of a similar way in terms of like stuff that was missing? Is there something that you miss?
No, absolutely. So much of what Janet and Lee wrote is there, and structure, story. Far more important than this jokey line of dialogue or that jokey line of dialogue. So no, I feel really great about it. One of the other things, just to mention, when shooting started, over in Long Beach is this great dome next to the Queen Mary, which used to house Howard Hughes' Spruce Goose. So I was there when they dismantled the Spruce Goose and they took it out. And Batman Forever was the first movie to be shot inside that giant dome. And it was incredible to see a lot of the ice sets that were set up in there later on.
Batcave.
But the Batcave, it was unbelievable. There was so much space in there that they had like an art department and the lumber and the props, and there were so many things taking place within that dome, and I know it's been used a lot since then, but that all started with this movie.
Awesome. So I think it's time to move on to some audience questions, actually. And so one of the first ones, I did promise to give one to a friend of ours. That's Drew Griffin over at the 1995 Batman podcast. Check out 1995 Batman on YouTube. It's a whole channel dedicated to the Joel Schumacher Batman films. But Drew, go ahead.
Oh, hi, good morning.
Hi.
Well, I've been listening to you guys for a while, and I initially thought I would ask like, what everyone thinks of the final movie, if they're happy with it. But I think everyone is, for the most part.
That's what it sounds like, in terms of everyone being happy with the final movie.
Yeah, and then I was kind of like, well, should I ask like what they think of Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, or would that be a little too personal, or like what do they think of the comedy sound effects that are in the movie? Like, but
What did you settle on in terms of the question?
oh gosh, it's tough. But and I also thought of Joel, like what he would say if he were sitting here. How do you think Joel is happy with the way the movie turned out?
Do you think Joel is happy?
Or is he more kind of mixed?
He was very happy with it at the time, and I can't see why he would change his mind after that.
I agree. Joe was very happy with this. Again, he was under directive, right? He had to make these movies lighter, brighter, more family friendly, more toy and Happy Meal friendly. And that was his assignment. And he did that. And sadly, he gets way too much flack. Undeservedly so. He did, I think, the greatest job he could do under the commandments. And I give him all the credit in the world for having done that. Looking back on the movie, there's some jokiness. I really tend to be a dark Batman guy. So there's some of the jokiness that I wrestle with. As many of you probably know, when I saw the Batman TV show premiere when I was 15 years old, and I was so excited, and 20 minutes in, I realized it was a comedy. Batman was a joke. The whole world was laughing at Batman. I made a vow in my parents' basement den in front of Bobby and Barry, my two best friends. I made a vow like young Bruce Wayne once made a vow, except he made his vow over the slaughtered bodies of his parents in the street. My parents were safe in the kitchen. And I said, somehow, someday, some way, I will find a way to show the world the true Batman, the Batman created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane in 1939, and try to eliminate Pow, Zap, and Wham from the collective consciousness of the world culture. When you take that view of it, and you take what Joel did under his directives, how can it be anything but happy?
It's when looking at it on my own show, one of the things that I brought up that I realized in revisiting these movies is like, yes, there is a level of goofiness and camp but a lot of that is the villains. Batman himself, other than like a few lines, like, you know, chicks love the car. Like, other than that, sorry to trigger you, Michael. But other than that, like, Batman himself is still Batman. Batman himself is still the most serious part of it, especially with, you know, this deleted subplot. But even without that subplot, you still are dealing with the trauma and the repressed memories and the duality. And so even though it does have a jokey tone, I've brought up, like, the characterization of Batman himself is actually, like, pretty legit. Batman himself is not the joke. There are jokey elements, but Batman himself, to me, was never really the joke.
To me, one of the most important parts of the film spiritually was his concern for Dick Grayson, he sees as a younger version of myself. I lost my parents. I know what this trauma did to me, what it turned me into, and I don't want that for him.
Which I think is one of the most heroic aspects of this version of Kilmer, is the whole idea of, like, I don't want you to go down the same path as me. So, anyone else have a question? Tyler.
Yeah, I have a question actually about Robin, because this movie we talk a lot about how we brought in like Two-Face and the Riddler, and we've seen those characters reinterpreted throughout other films since then. We haven't seen Robin come back since these movies, and I just wanted to know, were there any like unique challenges when it came to like writing or casting this character for this film? Because it was the first time we saw him in a live-action movie since the '66 film.
Well, this was another directive from Warner Brothers. They said, we want to introduce Robin. And we were like, 2 villains and an introduction of a major character. It's like, that is a lot of ground to cover in one movie. A lot of plates to keep spinning in terms of just plot. But once sort of that word came down, we said, okay, we want to be faithful to the original Robin story. And we want to think about what it means for a kid to lose his parents in front of him, to see his parents killed, which of course is what happened to Bruce. So that's where we went. As to why we haven't seen more Robin, that's really a question for Michael than for us.
I just say, as a fanboy right now, I'm sitting one day having lunch in Beverly Hills with Stan Lee, and Stan said to me, I hate sidekicks. And I said, do you care to explain, Stan? He goes, yeah. He goes, when we brought back Captain America in 1964 in Avengers 4, I killed Bucky. I don't want Bucky. He said, what grown-up guy is going to pal around all night long with like a 12 or 14-year-old boy? He should be asleep. He's got school the next day. He's got a test coming up, and he's out all night with bullets being shot at him. He goes, it makes no sense whatsoever. I hate sidekicks. And that's always been part of my personal problem as a fan with Robin. That said, when the geniuses of the comic book world, who do not get the spotlight enough, folks, you know, everybody gravitates to all the people who work on movies. But man, when you look at the work of the people who write and draw the comics, they really do deserve the spotlight. I mean, that's where Nightwing comes out of, and the whole concept of Dick Grayson growing up and going off to college and then ultimately evolving into Nightwing. And then we've had a procession of Robins come through. One gets killed. Another one's the illegitimate son of Batman, who's a handful. I mean, these are really interesting twists and turns that they're coming up with that all of a sudden make stories viable. It makes stories viable. So I think the future for Robin is pretty damn good.
Nice. You heard it here.
Hey, first of all, thank you for being here today. It means a lot, you sharing your stories and, you know, making of this incredibly fun movie. My question, or just a general statement, I think Batman Forever, something everybody can agree on, is it has one killer soundtrack. I love like the Offspring and the Seal songs, everything in it. My question is, how do you feel that does it represent your original vision, or does it work well with the movie that ultimately came out of it? What's your take on the soundtrack for this movie?
I mean, I love the soundtrack. I think it was beautifully chosen. I think it was honestly a bit of a surprise to go with Kiss from a Rose because it was a song that had already been released, so it couldn't be eligible for Best Song at the Oscars. So I'm sure there were probably some discussions about that at Warner Brothers. But even though it's sort of the perfect song for the moment. But as writers, that is out of our purview. We don't get to choose the music. I spend a little bit of time telling my USC students, stop writing music cues because it's not your job. So we're not the right people to ask.
But for Kiss for the Rose, Joel talked a lot
about
roses.
Yeah.
You see, the parents dropping the roses in the alley, you see the roses at the funeral. That visual motif was very important to put into the film, and that made it in the script. And so he found a song that was perfect to accentuate that motif, which I thought was cool.
I'd like to give an answer to this question, but set it in the context of its time. So traditionally, it is the filmmaker's creative choice as to what music goes in, who the composer will be. But back then, back in those days, there were these gigantic things called record companies. And the studios owned and controlled the music industry in so many ways. Now, at Warner Brothers alone, they had Warner, Elektra, Asylum, and Atlantic. And that was a powerful, money-producing part of the whole operation. So if they had a new act that they were looking to break, or an established act that they wanted to see in a movie, they also had a lot of say into it. But at the end of the day, I look back, Prince, Smashing Pumpkins, Seal, yet we still get Danny Elfman and Elliot Goldenthal, and it's kind of becomes the best of both worlds.
Awesome. Ian.
Hi. When I think of Joel Schumacher, I also think of movies like Falling Down, 8mm, Phone Booth. Wondering.
Lost Boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Lost Boys. Thank you. Were there any ideas, I guess, in the creative process that were more like maybe a little bit more subversive or darker that were considered and ultimately were like, okay, this is not going to meet the mandate, the studio mandate. But were there any such interesting ideas that you folks remember that were considered and not ultimately done?
Well, we were all on the same page, I think, from the beginning. Joel did something that's very rare. I don't know any other director that did this. He was finishing up
The Client
down in New Orleans. And so he flew us, because he's shooting during the day and we've got evenings free, he flew us to New Orleans. So we're in the hotel room brainstorming. He also brought down the editor, Dennis Vergler. He says, these are the two people at the beginning of a process and the end of the process, and they never meet. So Dennis was there, and we were able to talk through our vision and Joel's vision and what we thought the structure. And so he had, when he's in the editing room, he had that sense of vision from the very beginning before we even started writing. And so there was a cohesion to that I think is, I'm envious for other writers who don't get that. I wish they did. That everybody on the team there's cross-pollination of ideas.
Everybody who was sort of involved in the structuring of the story. And it was wonderful for us because Dennis sat there saying, okay, here's the things you should not bother to write because I'm going to cut them out.
Interests and extras.
Yeah, he gave us sort of this list of things that he's like, they're never going to make it into the movie. Don't waste time. And that was wonderful.
What was on the list?
My question is, for making Batman Forever my childhood 90s movies.
That's where a lot
I
of
was
us
born
do.
in 92 when Keaton ended his run, and I didn't even know about Keaton after watching Forever. And my mother was very religious on violence and stuff like that. My dad was the only one that, these are fiction characters, don't tell your mother. I'll let you guys watch why is your younger brother. But Batman Forever always was my childhood 90s Batman. Val Kilmer, my 90s Batman. People were like, what? Keaton? I was like, I didn't know about Keaton after Forever. So my dad took me to this pawn shop, and then I knew who Keaton was. And he bought me those two on VHS. But my question is, since I have those 4 movies, and you know how you guys said earlier, you guys one didn't want to bring no one back from the Tim Burton universe to do the Reverend and Batman and Robin. I always wondered and always stuck to my head was the Batman Forever universe and the Batman and Robin all connected to the Tim Burton, because Commissioner Gordon never got recast. He was always in all the 4 films.
Same with Alfred.
The same with Alfred. So that in my head I was like, you know, or was Val Kilmer was Tim Burton's Batman, or
What is canon?
you know?
It all takes place on Earth 774 in the metaverse. Otherwise, there's no rhyme or reason. I wish I could just, tell you right here and now. But you brought up something else. Can I just see a show of hands? How many people was this the first Batman movie you ever saw? How many people saw this movie when they were children? How many people saw it with your mom or your dad or your grandpa or your grandma? Thank you. One of the most touching things that I get back from fans is when I hear my grandpa or my mom or my dad took me as a kid to see this movie, and it was this most amazing, life-impactful experience, and they're not here today. But this movie will forever have a special meaning to me for that experience. And that, I think, is the most wonderful thing that can come out of movies like Batman Forever. And as somebody connected to the whole kit and caboodle, it's to me one of the most meaningful things that has validated my entire journey.
Yeah.
The best review we ever got, right after it was released, we were down in San Diego with a group of writer friends, sort of like a retreat, and we all went to go see it together at the local theater. And there was the nephew of one of our friends was their 11-year-old kid, 11-year-old boy, and afterwards we came out of the screening and we were there in the lobby, and he came up to Jan and me and said, "Thank you for getting it right." And Jan said, "Well, thank you, because you're who we wrote it for."
Awesome. Harkening back to the continuity question, one of the things that I've told people too is that, like, whether it's in the same universe or not, it doesn't negate it, right? If it's not connected to 89 or Returns, Batman Forever still exists. It's still its own thing, whether you see it as a continuation or a possible continuation of, like, Keaton just kind of regenerates into Kilmer at some point, or if you see it as like its own type of thing, where it's like this is its own universe, like Michael was talking about, like it being not connected to the Burton-verse, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't negate its existence. It still exists the way that you want it. So make for it what you will. It's a possible future, or it's a possible separate universe. It just comes down to what you decide. Over there.
What is your favorite scene from the movie, from like the bad guys portion of the movie? What is your favorite scene?
What's your favorite scene of the movie?
I really love Batman coming through the wall of fire. And that was Joel. He said, I want to see that cape coming through the wall of fire. Give me a wall of fire.
Don't care how you do it.
Yeah, it's like, he said, we really don't care the reason for the wall of fire, but I want that shot. And I really love that shot. And talking to the stuntman, it was sort of funny. He was like, I hate the cape. I hate the cape. The cape weighs 40 pounds. He said, the only time I liked the cape was the wall of fire, because he could pull the cape over him and let the fire. And he was like, that was the one time I liked the cape.
My favorite part of the movie was, I don't think enough credit is given to Michael Goff. Goff played Alfred as a carryover from the previous films, because I thought in some sense he was like the soul of the movie. His kindness and concern for Dick Grayson, angry young men need guidance, and the warmth and the compassion that he brought to that role. And my favorite little moment was Bruce, he's taken the car, or actually his wrist radio. He boosted the Jag? No, the other car. Oh, to whatever. No, the other car. That was like, I wrote that line, and like, it was everything I saw in my head when I wrote it. So that just felt alive.
Michael?
My favorite scene was not the one where the Batmobile goes straight up the building,
Which we did not write.
which they did not write.
Yeah,
Tell
because-
them why.
Because our question was, how does he get back down? It's like, yeah.
Lives.
Yeah.
Never addressed. I just like that opening fight scene where Batman appears in the black costume
Yeah.
and just beats the shit out of everybody. I love that whole opening scene.
So we are pretty much at time, but right before the last minute, as Stan would say, you got to get the plug in. So why don't we, anything that you would like to plug or promote or anywhere that people could follow you? Starting with Batchler.
You know, we lead a pretty private life. I am on various social media, but
I'm not on social media. I have people to do that for me.
yeah, pretty much. So we're not really plugging anything today.
Gotcha. Michael?
Okay, Stan, I got it. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. We have a lot of fun. I try to post fun and informative stuff and pictures that you may not have seen before. Also, my memoir, The Boy Who Loved Batman, is out, available through Barnes & Noble or Amazon. It's also available as an audiobook that I narrated, I recorded, which was a lot of fun. The sequel book is called Batman's Batman. And last thing I'll mention is The Boy Who Loved Batman is now being turned into a Broadway play. And I'm very excited about it.
And we can't wait to see it.
So stay tuned for a major announcement coming up in the next couple of months.
Awesome. And for those who want to follow my podcast, The Superhero Stuff You Should Know, that's why we got the QR codes here. Just scan that there, and you can follow the YouTube channel, and you can find out all of our deep dives into the original scripts, a breakdown of what I saw, the Schumacher Cut, interviews with Tim Flattery, who designed the Batmobile, and all that sorts of good stuff. That's all over there when you scan it. And then these are my comics over here that we can talk about afterwards. But Musashi and Sons, basically a Batman and Robin in samurai form, and Alter Ego is my own take on supervillains in a Game of Thrones type of world. So with that, that is Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Thank you very, very much, everyone.
Coming soon from Newverse Creative.
Riddle me this, Fred. One is everything to someone and nothing to everyone else. Your mind.
In an uncertain world, in a chaotic time, justice wears a mask.
Batman does not kill. What if they're slain during his fight with Jackman? It's a joke.
Love is a game.
Let's just say I could write a heck of a paper on why a grown man dresses up like a flying rodent.
Bats aren't rodents, Dr. Meridian.
Power is a machine.
Question marks, Mr. Wayne. My work raises too many question marks. Here's one for you. Why hasn't anybody put you in your place?
And revenge is a trap.
The bat must die.
Courage now.
Let's save your bat butt back there. I think a little appreciation is in order.
Truth always.
Who's the boy wonder, Batman?
Experience the original Batman forever. Finally performed in the style of the Burton-verse.
I see without seeing. To me, darkness is as clear as daylight. What am I?
Batman 3, based on the screenplay by Lee and Janet Scott Batchler with Akiva Goldsman. Adapted by Ben Wan from Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
My parents were murdered in front of me. I was just a kid. I can't remember exactly what happened. But now, there's a new element. A red leather book
Coming soon.
And what you just heard is the trailer for the Newverse creative audio drama Batman 3. This is the audio drama I plugged during the panel that you heard earlier, and while the trailer said coming soon, the audio was actually released in January, so you can check it out now on the Newverse Creative channel. That's NEUVERSE Creative. It's on YouTube, as well as other places wherever you get your podcasts. But on it, I adapted the scripts by the Batchlers and Akiva Goldsman into an audio drama script that also includes the Bruce Wayne subplot. That is the whole reason why people want to, watch the Schumacher Cut. And we produced the first one in the style of the Burton-verse, like you've overheard. So it features actors emulating a Marlon Wayans Robin, a Billy D. Williams Two-Face, and as I mentioned on our panel, Nick Gonzalez, one of our Patreon patrons and a very talented actor and impressionist, he does the voice of the Robin Williams Riddler. Cherry on top, director Tim Maxwell also cast me as the voice of the Michael Keaton Batman on it, which was definitely a treat. And then we adapted the same script, took it, and made it into the style of the film in the audio drama Batman Forever, the Schumacher Cut, with me as the voice of the Val Kilmer Batman this time. And just recently, we released the sequel, Robin Facing the Enemy. This is based on the junior novel by Alan Grant that takes place after Batman Forever, but before Batman and Robin. And in this, Dick Grayson goes on his own solo mission, learns what it takes to be a protector of Gotham, and fight alongside Batman. Once again, I wrote the audio drama in adapting that novel, and I co-star as the voice of the Val Kilmer Batman in that. All of these now available on Newverse Creative, so check that out. In addition to all this, a few more plugs before I bring Alex in to join us. If you like the Quick Change Bruce Wayne shirt that I wore on the panel, you can get one of your own. This is a special Superhero Stuff You Should Know version designed by friend of the podcast, Cole Watkins. This shirt not only resembles the Kenner Quick Change action figure, but also has been worn by one of the Batmen himself. Yes, former guest Carl Newman, the movement double for Michael Keaton's Batman in '89. He brings the action figure to life in this image. So if you want one of your own, go to the TeePublic link in the description and you will find that. You can also see the reactions of everyone else in the Instagram comments who all want one for themselves. So go to the TeePublic link, go to the Quick Change Superhero Stuff You Should Know. Scroll down, you'll see a variety of options of different merch, including t-shirts, stickers, mugs, but obviously the most popular one will be the long sleeve shirt that Carl wears in this picture and that I wore on the panel. And you can also pick up the Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch on TeePublic, linked in the description still, with the new logo designed by Dan. This also has, again, mugs, stickers, hoodies, t-shirts, but you can also find merch from my comics, Alter Ego and Musashi and Son, that are all on there. So you can get Musashi and Son merch, Alter Ego merch, Superhero Stuff You Should Know, the logo, or the Quick Change Superhero Stuff You Should Know, which is, of course, our most popular product on there. So any of those will be definitely a cool addition to your collection. Finally, to wrap up the break, this is not a word from our sponsor so much as a charity promotion, but since we believe that if you read or watch anything about superheroes, you should become one yourself, this month, in honor of Val Kilmer, we are plugging Stand Up to Cancer. It's a charity meant to go towards cancer research and finding a cure. Cancer affects everyone. Kilmer himself was a throat cancer survivor. I'm a survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma myself. So if you or anyone you know has been affected by cancer, please donate at fundraise.standuptocancer.org and be a superhero. Now, back to the show. And we're back, and joining me now is Alex, college student.
What's up, guys?
So, welcome back, Alex. We are going to go over kind of the other stuff that happened with the panel and talk about more Batman Forever stuff, which is something that we both love and enjoy. So,
of course,
here we go. Yes, we only have 20 deep dives on this movie, so
what's one more?
Yeah, exactly. So let's share it out. But yeah, I mean, I had a great time with the panel, and I think that I was glad to hear that they were pretty happy with the fact that it went well too. Both Michael and the Batchlers were very happy. So beforehand, I was able to get, if you remember, I used to have a Batman Forever poster in the background before my place got flooded and I had to rearrange things, which I still need to do right now, but I got more signatures now. It used to just be Janet Batchlers by the bat signal, which just says Ben, good luck. And that was back in like 2009, I think, when I first met her. So that was a long time ago. You can tell because it's how much more faded it is compared to the others. But now I got the other
Adds
signatures.
character.
Yeah. We've got Lee Batchler up above by the bat signal that says best always Ben. And then, of course, in his signature bat symbol, signature, autograph inside the bat signal is Michael Uslan in the corner next to Val Kilmer. So that was a great experience to be able to do. Have those signed right beforehand, and then Michael signed a couple of one or two other things for me afterwards. So yeah, I mean it was a good time.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean I enjoyed doing the panel. I do want to do one shout out to the fact that while Val Kilmer, we did talk about Peter David has passed this year, who wrote a great Batman Forever novelization. Obviously Val Kilmer passed. But I also want to recognize one other person who was a part of this, who is Jack Betts. Jack Betts is an actor who passed this year. He was the fisherman in the 3D TV when Stickley's under the box. Yeah, as you can see at the top. And then on the bottom left is when he's one of the rich guys who bids on Poison Ivy and Batman and Robin, which, when you think about it, is kind of messed up. Yeah. But then he's most famous as the executive from Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man on the right. You're out, Norman. That guy. So
out am I?
Exactly. So yeah, he passed. He was in his 90s. He had a long, full life, and he's a part of these superhero movies. And I also just look at him. He's the spitting image too of Golden Age Gordon. When you look,
I was about to say, if Pat Hingle didn't work out, they could always have this guy, stand in, at least looks wise. Yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, he looks great. But yeah, rest in peace as well, Jack Betts.
Yep.
A couple of other factoid type things that I learned that I didn't get to share at the panel come from one account that I found on Twitter recently, which is Daily Batman Forever. And that user's posted old magazine articles about the movie. And there's one article that has a quote that I've always been kind of looking for, never could really find it, thought maybe some people made it up, but there is evidence of this. This comes from Imagy Movies Magazine in fall 1995, where Joel Schumacher goes into why he didn't consider, Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, saying that, I didn't consider Billy D. Williams because, I see him as a hero like Clark Gable. I had just worked with Tommy Lee Jones on The Client and thought he would be great. So that is his reasoning. Now, people can argue in terms of well, isn't that the point of Two-Face, to have somebody who was heroic become a villain? But he was the taking over, and this is his vision. So his vision was Tommy Lee Jones instead.
His goofiness, though, in this, I'm saying this right now, just in terms of Billy D. Williams, with what they ended up doing with Two-Face in this, I think people ultimately would have been disappointed if Billy D. Williams came back and this is how he was acting. They'd be like, he's not even acting like he did in the first one. It was more it was more of a layered thing. And then to see him become but then again, I don't know, because I'm going to counter myself for a second and say that some of this might have been how Joel was directing him, but a lot of people have theorized with Tommy Lee Jones, the reason why he was acting so animated and over the top is because he was trying to compete with Jim Carrey. I don't think maybe Billy D. Williams wouldn't have gone for that. You never know.
Maybe. I mean, we do have that quote that we found from his memoir saying that he would have portrayed Two-Face. I think one of the things he called him was this omnisexual narcissist is what he called him, as his Two-Face. And I think he also described him, I think, as a flamboyant. And I'm kind of that doesn't really sound that too far off from what we got in Tommy Lee Jones. I know he describes it as something different, but I'm if that's how he saw it, in addition to Joel Schumacher directing, in addition to the script having a lot more focus on Riddler than on Two-Face, I think we can all agree, Riddler's the main villain. Riddler's the one that they have a preference for in the script. Then it probably wouldn't have turned out the way that people think. It probably would have turned out to be very similar to what we got, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the written material and the directing. So who knows? Maybe it's better off thinking of it as a what if.
I could see him walking up to Chase Meridian and going, well, what do we have here? As Two-Face.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. But yeah, I mean, I think the Batman 89 comic has a really great version of how this Billy D. Williams version of Harvey Dent could become Two-Face. And
definitely.
it just, I think it's best exists in that realm. Of course, obviously, we did a version of that with the Batman 3 audio drama, but it's kind of just a general understanding that Two-Face is still the Two-Face from Batman Forever. He doesn't suddenly become a different character just because, you know, somebody who's playing a Billy D. Williams Harvey Dent is playing him. Like, it's still the same type of portrayal here. The other thing, too, I realized in having rewatched the movie is, you know, that theory that we brought up where people said, like, oh, like, Two-Face isn't flipping the coin in Wayne Manor constantly to get the desired result. He actually flips it 3 times, one for Alfred, one for Bruce, and one for Chase, right? People have brought that up.
Yeah.
I can now say for certain that's incorrect, not only because of the fact that it's in the novelization and the scripts that say that he always is flipping it, but he actually flips the coin 4 times. The other time is in the background. So when you see the wide shot of Bruce and Chase, like, they get across the table and the henchmen are after them, in the background is Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face flipping a coin. So he actually flipped 4 times on screen. You just see him. It's kind of just in the background, but you actually see Two-Face in the background flipping the coin there. So that theory also does not hold up even with what's in it. So unfortunately,
he swapped it out. Batman swapped it out for just like a double-sided coin or something. He's like,
yeah,
damn it. Damn it.
Well, that's what he was trying to do in the Batman 89 comic, but it didn't turn out so well.
He's just so dumb. He doesn't catch on. Like, he's still flipping. He's like, damn it.
So yeah, that's what we got. I've also never seen this picture of Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face until now, like this specific shot of him on the right. Obviously,
the radio detonator shot.
Your favorite, yeah. That's how it started.
Radio detonator.
For those who don't know, that's the version of the movie that's the Alex Ramsey cut. It's the version
right to the action.
Yeah, when it was your grandmother, right, who taped it, and
yeah,
it's
a bunch of static. But all of a sudden, it starts. I was just like, okay.
It puts you right in the action, just like. Yeah. I know we talked about James Gunn's Superman, where it's just like, okay, it plops you right in the action. Yeah. Batman Forever to you really plopped you into the action and who the characters were just immediately.
It's like someone tore some pages out of a comic book. It's like, blah, blah, blah. Here, just start here.
Yeah. Man. Another thing we have is an interview with the Batchlers in an issue of Starburst 205. Now, here's what we got. Yeah. Like the candy. I know. I just mean Starlog, right? No, it's Starburst.
Yeah. Wow.
So we have official confirmation Joel Schumacher did want to make a movie called Batman Triumphant, but it's not the one you think. So for years, right, fans have talked about Schumacher making a follow-up to Batman and Robin, with the internet calling it, Batman Triumphant with Scarecrow and Harley Quinn. This project, however, turned out to be titled Batman Unchained, from a script by Mark Protasevich, who told The Hollywood Reporter he doesn't really know where the Batman Triumphant title came from. So it doesn't seem like Batman Triumphant was associated with that project. But in an interview with Starburst 204, Janet Batchler, screenwriter of Batman Forever, says, quote, Joel didn't want to call it Batman 3. He had a whole list of titles like Batman Triumphant. Technically, Batman Triumphant was considered to be the title for what became Batman Forever.
Isn't one of the Dark Knight Returns chapters issues is called Dark Knight Triumphant?
Dark Knight Triumphant. Yeah.
Maybe that's where that part came from.
That does make sense, right? Because the Batchlers did have the Dark Knight Returns pretty much paraphrased with the whole thing about seeing the Bat when he was young, and the narration about how the Bat was like gliding with ancient grace and all the type of stuff that was all in there. So clearly the Dark Knight Returns was an influence in some way. People deny it and be like, well, Joel Schumacher didn't read the comics. Like, well, yeah, he did. He just he picked and chose and did his own thing with it, just like all the other directors.
Yeah, exactly.
This is but this shocked me when I saw it. Also because it's Janet, and I know Janet. And I was like, oh, we've been sitting on that for a while, but I get it. She's not going to remember everything from a magazine from 30 years ago, but that's cool. I mean, it's a possibility that Joel had always wanted to have the title Batman Triumphant, and so he tried it for Forever and didn't go with it, and then tried it for Batman and Robin and didn't go for it, and then maybe tried it with Batman Unchained, and that obviously didn't happen. But it seems like the seeds for that were there since Batman Forever. So take that for what you will. But I wish I had an opportunity to share that at the panel, but it's a difficult balance sometimes at the panel, because I know that I'm not the one that people are there for. They're there for Michael Uslan. They're there for the Batchlers. And so even though I did inject a few of my own commentary on things, I didn't want to take up too much of that. We're very limited in that. So certain times I kind of like held back on saying more because of just the time limit and wanting to give the audience a little bit more time to ask questions. So I do want to thank people who were part of that audience. That includes Drew Griffin of the 1995 Batman podcast. He's a big supporter of ours. You got to hear him ask the first question in the audience. I kind of told him beforehand, like, hey, like, I'll give the first question to you and promote your show. So we got that.
Good stuff. I like his channel.
Yeah, me too, right? And hopefully, maybe at some point we'll have some sort of collaboration. But we've definitely been following Drew and Neil on that channel for a while, and we're supporters of them too. Also, I met a guy named Nico who filmed the panel. He did the pirated bootleg version of the panel, but I gave him permission for that. Of course, he's over at Nico 7 Films. So some of you may have already seen the
Nico assembly cut.
The Nico work print.
Yeah, work print. There we go. Don't call it. It's not the Nico cut. It's the Nico work print. Damn it.
I am glad, Drew, if you're watching or listening to this, I am glad you asked about Joel being happy, because I know that some people have brought up, well, Joel Schumacher was very happy with the theatrical, so we shouldn't call it the Schumacher cut. But kind of like what we said in that episode, it's like, well, is there any record of his specific feelings about the subplot being cut? Because I would say, like, he's never really been on record saying, oh, thank God, I hated that shit. Like, thank God I had to cut that. Like, it seems like it was either way. It's like, oh, I like this, but this would have been cool too, type of thing. So who knows?
By the way, earlier when I was referencing that for people that might be just tuning into this one, it's referencing how sometimes we get comments where people are like correcting us on calling it the Schumacher cut and like calling it a work print for context for people.
Yeah. And Michael Uslan did that up front too, where he's like, what people have seen is like a recording of a VHS like work print cut type of thing. It is not ready for the official release. And I'm really glad he got to do that, because he said that at the Batman Day event, which I'll go over in a little later on, as well as our panel. I mean, I'll share this, is that about a half hour before that panel, Michael Uslan and I walked into that room to sort of survey it, and he turned to me and he's pretty much like, we need to address up front the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We need to talk about the Schumacher cut. And of course, if Mr. Uslan or Dr. Uslan tells you this is how we should start the panel, I'm like, all right, let me cross out all the other questions I had first and just move that one up. But I thought it was a great idea, because he knew and we knew the people who were there would want to know what he would have to say about it. And it's one thing for us to say this in our show of like, hey, like, this is what I saw and like we really should have an official release. But it's another thing entirely when it's like, it's Michael Uslan, the big Batman fan, the big guy who's been a champion for the fans' visions and Batman on film, to say like, hey guys, like, it's not that simple. It's not a thing where they're just greedy and hogging this secret cut. It needs time to release, because like we've talked about, like we're against the idea of it just leaking out, right? Because especially given that it could land some friends in legal trouble who have enabled us to be able to see it. But it's also just like, Uslan had a great point of, if you're the director of this movie, you would want it to be a complete restoration, not like a work print type of thing that just kind of got out there. So if we're really about honoring Joel Schumacher, take it from somebody who knew him and worked with him and considered him to be a friend, that Joel would want an actual restoration, an actual like recut together version with the Elliot Goldenthal theme instead of the temp music, with like the quality upped and everything sort of looking like it's the quality that you would need to see in HBO Max streaming type of center or a Blu-ray type of release. So I'm really glad that he got to say that too. Let's see, other people, as you could tell from the panel, like I got to know some of the people in the audience before they came up. I was like, oh man, I'd love to have been able to call everybody by name, but it did get a certain point where I'm like, okay, unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know who this person is, so I can't say their name. But other people who got to ask questions, Tyler is another fan. I've met up with him in the last 3 LA Comic Cons. He's the one who asked about Robin. But yeah, he's a great supporter of ours.
That's a good question.
Yeah, on Robin, because I didn't deliberately skip over Robin. It's just there's so much to go over, and I also kind of like, are people here, like, people want to know deleted scene stuff, they want to know Schumacher cut stuff. I wasn't really sure how much people wanted to know about different things. Let's see, I met another audience member named Ian. He bought a copy of Musashi and Son, so
nice.
Shout out to Ian. I talked to him about the Batman 89 comics. Also, I met up with this cosplayer. Look at this. This is awesome.
Nice.
Bob the Goon.
Love the jacket.
Yeah, right. I saw him and I'm like, okay, I know it's not the same movie, but I got to talk to this guy. So I was like, hey, can I get a picture with you? Took a picture with him, told him like, hey, dude, because if you can't really tell here, but I'm wearing these Batman Forever pins.
Nice.
So I was like, hey, like, I got the Batman Forever panel. You want to go to it? It's in this room. It's at this time. And he's like, I'll be there. And true to his word, he showed up. Wasn't in the Bob outfit, but he showed up. But yeah, please follow him. Lauren W. Schroeder. Oh, did I call him my number one guy?
No. Yeah, you gotta go up to him. It's like, and Bob, remember, you are number one guy. I like how in that,
yeah.
In that scene, by the way, like Kevin Smith, they point out too, where he's like, he already knows what he's gonna say. It's like, yes, sir. He just like throws the glasses on and keeps it moving.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I should have done that with Lauren, but yeah,
that movie, by the way, I don't know if I had the opportunity to bring it up. So I saw the 89 movie at that that theater, the Carolina Theater. Yeah. And honestly, I would recommend going and seeing it like that in the old timey movie theater. That really fits the vibe and everything of that movie. The movie's way funnier than I realized. When you see it with the crowd, like I was laughing at a lot more scenes. And Amanda, I think that's the first time she's seen it. So we were just laughing at scenes during it and like enjoying it. She gravitated towards the Vicky Vale, like the romance stuff. And actually, I kind of gravitated to it way more than I had in the past. I'm like, yeah, this is good. Like I was like watching it. I was like, actually, it's pretty good. Or like the whole table thing and the scenes with Alfred. I've always loved the scenes with Alfred where he's telling that embarrassing story about Bruce when he was a kid. Like that's one of the best scenes in the movie.
It's the heart of Bruce Wayne's story is that romance. So I can see how, like, as a kid, you're like, let's just get to the Batman action. But then
someone
as an
punch
adult,
somebody.
Yeah, as an adult, you need something of more substance. And so as an adult, it becomes more relatable to be like, oh, like, I get it now. She's his one chance of like a normal life type of thing. Like I can relate to that.
Someone said that in the panel. Someone said something about that in the panel about how Alfred's the heart of those movies, and I'm like, I totally agree. He is like the through line of those movies, but also like him and Commissioner Gordon, but also like he is the heart of those movies. He like that last I know Batman and Robin, I've come around to it way more, but like that subplot of his like, or the main, when you really look at it, the main plot of his like potential death and like some of those lines, that kind of makes that movie, that elevates that movie from just being a silly Batman movie. With some of those lines, I'm like, that's some of the best lines I've ever heard in any Batman movie, like him describing what Batman is and everything.
Yeah. For sure. Like the idea that Batman is a way to beat back death is such a, like, that's why I refuse to be like, okay, like, that people say like it made Batman a joke. And I'm like, well, it maybe might have made jokes around the world of Batman and the villains, but Batman himself, a lot of times, like he's taken a lot more seriously than you think in the Schumacher movies. And that's why I brought that up in the panel, is like Batman is still Batman. Like there's the occasional type of shit with, the back credit card and the, chicks love the car line that made, Michael Uslan gag. But still, I was like, we underestimate, like Batman himself isn't really the jokey one in comparison to, say the Riddler and Two-Face and Forever, or just the villains in general in these movies. The villains are actually more of the jokey, goofy ones in these movies in comparison to Batman.
That line kind of reminds me of having like a deep line in a mostly silly movie. There's a movie called Spy Kids 2 Where it's like Steve,
Steve Buscemi one.
yeah, where he's just sitting there talking. He's like, "Do you think God stays up in heaven, hiding from His creations because He's truly terrified of what He's created?" Or so, it's some line like that. I'm like, "What the hell is that doing in this movie?"
Jesus, yeah,
such a deep line.
But that type of random stuff has its own life later on as a meme. You're a kid, you see it, you don't think much of it, and then later on as an adult, you're like, wait a minute, and then it becomes a meme. We had a really cool guy in the audience named W.R. Miller, who he had these huge volumes that he brought for Michael Uslan to sign, but he did interviews of everybody involved with the DC animated universe. I told him, I'm like, dude, you gotta ask a question or something so I can plug your thing. We didn't have time, but I'm gonna do the plug now. Like, check these out: the unofficial Batman, the animated interviews by W.R. Miller. He was covering that show when the show was on the air in the 90s.
Wow.
There's stuff with Kevin Conroy on it. I mean, these things. I was just like, dude, like all we need for coverage is just to read these. If
was he selling copies while he was there? Or?
I mean, I think if he was trying to sell copies, he would have needed like an army to carry all the copies.
Oh, big books.
These are each one is like a tome, man. It's like an encyclopedia that he had. So like he brought like a suitcase to have just one copy of each volume for Michael Uslan to sign. So, but yeah, they're available on Amazon and stuff. I would consider getting it for sure because they cover everything from Batman the Animated Series through Batman's appearances in like Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, like that stuff. So yeah, I was definitely felt very honored, right? Like, because in the beginning, I'm sort of holding court a little bit in that panel room. We were the first panel of the day, and I was really glad because it gave me an opportunity to talk to some of the people who came in early. And so Mr. Miller was one of them, and I got to talk to him a little bit, along with guys like Nico, and really get to know him and know his fandom, like what he likes about Batman and stuff. So that was really awesome. And then final shout out for the audience. I got to give a shout out to Mike at Chicano Batman. He enabled me to live this out, which is to turn me into quick change Bruce Wayne. I'm already in the shirt, right? So then, because he he's like, hey, can I come on stage for some photos and stuff and video? I'm like, sure. He's like, the panel hasn't started, right? And then as we're up there, I was like, hey, like, if it fits, I wear the mask. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. And so he gives it to me. And then that's when we recreate this moment. I was trying to do the Mask of the Phantasm thing where I'm like looking at it first. I was probably thinking about the suit up scene in 89
with the little strip of light across his eyes.
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah,
exactly. So, but yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. Mike's a huge supporter of ours. He's been on our show at least a couple times, I think. I know he helped rank the different bat cycles with us, but yeah, he turned me into quick change Bruce Wayne for real. With
I got like I told you before, kind of got the Keaton look a little bit there. If he decided to throw on the West outfit a little bit,
right? Yeah, I mean, I think it worked out really well. I loved being able to do this beforehand. We obviously wouldn't have had time during the panel, but yeah, being able to do something like this beforehand was really fun. And then, yeah, I also got to be part of the Geekscape live panel for the third year in the row. The first time I went up there was when you and I met in person at LA Comic-Con 2023. We are part of the Geekscape podcast network. Jonathan London, who runs Geekscape, he does help us in terms of passing along our panels and getting panels through. So again, thank you for that. I got to promote more of my comics like you get to see here. Ended up selling Musashi and Son to Zach at $2 late fee, who's on like the far right over there. So shout out to Zach Schaefer over at $2 late fee. And then comic artist Craig Rasmussen on the left, he also got a copy. So thank you guys for getting that. And for anybody who's interested, I'm just going to do the plug here rather than the ends before we go into the Batman Day stuff. But check out Musashi and Son. I'm wearing the shirt, but it is a samurai Batman and Robin type of story. Like I said on the panel, they go from village to village hunting down the bandits that murdered this boy's father, as the real life samurai Miyamoto Musashi takes him in and adopts him to become his apprentice. So volume 1 available on Amazon. Very grateful to be able to sell these there. Volume 2 currently in production. I owe my artist many pages at this point that I was delayed, but I'm like, I have a good excuse. I was trying to sell comics at the convention. But yeah, the link is in the Amazon author page in the description below that has these available, along with Alter Ego, which I also plugged on the panel briefly. But this is kind of a mix of Batman No Man's Land with X-Men and The Departed, where 5 families of supervillains take over Detroit, and our main character goes undercover as a henchman to eliminate them one by one. And so first 3 issues available now with a variant cover of issue 1 done by Alex, college student. And we see that in the middle there. Issue 3 is the latest one out. Issue 4 is also in development. And you can get merch for these at our TeePublic. Same TeePublic link that you get the Superhero Stuff You Should Know merch. You can get Alter Ego stuff. You can get a Musashi shirt like what I'm wearing right now. And check that out in the description. All right, let's talk about Batman Day. So, oh man, September 20th, Batman Day celebration. It was at the WB lot, but it was also there to honor Batman Forever, which I thought was really awesome because you'll probably remember this too, but it was kind of feeling in the early 2000s and 2010s that fans acted like or even WB acted like the Nolan movies were like the only ones that mattered or something. Like it was kind of that sort of vibe. And now we've got this like resurgence, right, of people who are proud to represent this movie or show their love for this movie. There was a guy in the panel too who had a Batman Forever hat and a Batman Forever shirt, and I was like, oh man, this guy just came to Comic-Con for this panel. Like that's why he's here. And I saw many people dressed like that for this event.
I guess he's ready for the movie then. He just didn't have the Warner Brothers ball cap, but he had the Batman Forever stuff, so he's ready. He's ready to see the movie.
What I loved about this, though, on the WB lot is they put effort to not just show the movie, but celebrate the movie.
Because I was just poster in the background.
Yeah, they had the posters on, so it's like you're back in 1995 again.
Nice.
The posters are there, and they wanted to really celebrate this movie rather than just be like, all right, it's Batman Day, here's all the general Batman stuff, and come over and see this movie that we feel obliged to show because it's been 30 years. Like, they definitely wanted to give it its due. So they put you on a tour on the WB lot. One of these days, the next time you come down, we should do this together.
Totally.
But they showed us like different locations, including the Warner Brothers jungle forest area where they've shot a lot of movies. They even shot Jurassic Park on there, but that most notably they used it to shoot the scene where Edward Nygma puts the riddle on the Wayne Manor gate.
See you soon.
Exactly. And they set it up for us for just that day to do that.
Nice.
It was pretty awesome to see that, and I was like, okay, this is my shit. Like I'm glad that they did this stuff rather than half-ass it. Like they really put effort into honoring this movie.
You know what? They nailed Riddler's obsessive nature and kind of creepy aspect with him, like laying out the riddles and everything. Like people call him Gorshin, but I'm like, he's kind of like Gorshin, but like he doesn't get credit for how dark or like the dark moments his character has in that movie.
Yeah, I think Jim Carrey's Riddler is underrated in a sense because everyone's just like, oh, Jim Carrey, like he steals the show, he's so funny, but I'm like, yeah, but like, dude, like, there's this darkness to him that people, I think people don't really remember until they revisit the movie, whether it's this stuff or, I mean, look how close he gets to killing Batman in this movie. I mean, I know all the villains kind of do, but this, like the fact that he storms Wayne Manor. Like if he didn't stop Two-Face with his own obsession, he would have just allowed it to happen. Yeah. Right? They would have just gotten him at that point. Bruce was helping.
You kill him, he won't learn nothing.
So I love Jim Carrey's Riddler as well. I still think it's the best origin for Riddler in terms of how personal it made it with Bruce and Edward, and the whole idea of him trying to be his own Bruce Wayne, and that's the reason why he has this garish outfit is so that people can't connect. Like he has a secret identity. Like it makes sense why he has this outfit as opposed to like in the comics it's kind of just randomly like I want to challenge Batman. I must become the Riddler, and that's about it.
The Batman, the movie, obviously, like close second with like them. Like I did like that. Like it's kind of like a way to link them. Like I did like, but yeah, definitely this one's better.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, this is not the exact location of where they shot it because the exact location they said was like the entrance to this entire area, so they would have needed to have blocked the entire way for it to be accurate. So they just kind of got it close enough.
Yeah.
And then they drove us around to the different lots and revealed to us that somewhere on that lot is where they shot the deleted post-credits scene to Aquaman 2, where Bruce Wayne was supposed to show up.
Oh, wow.
Where they shot it one with Keaton and they shot it again with Affleck. And, it kind of got revealed on a studio tour that Affleck was there to shoot it when I think he was just walking around with Jason Momoa, and then the tour group came and they're like, whoops. Or maybe
don't look over here.
Maybe they just claimed that, but they really wanted to reveal that anyway. But our tour guide did reveal the scene would have taken place in a hotel room. So I guess that kind of explains the image with Affleck, because it looks like they're in some sort of like.
Are they just hanging out? I didn't watch Aquaman.
I mean, he's not in the scene, so we don't know. We have never seen the scene before. That's just kind of what they.
There's this deleted Flash moment. Is it Flash or is it Aquaman 2 where he has
Aquaman
that? Oh, okay, yeah.
This is an Aquaman 2 scene. Yeah, there's deleted Flash stuff too with Affleck, but in Aquaman 2, it was going to be Keaton, and then it was going to be Affleck, because they're like, oh shit, we gotta. I don't know. Things got moved around.
They were doing, man. I don't know.
Thank you for saving us, James Gunn and Peter Safran.
Yeah, I heard that, and I was just like, I guess. Like, it was one of those where it's just like, it's kind of, and we'll see with Marvel what they end up doing. I'll probably end up eating my words with the Doctor Doom stuff and like some of these other things, but I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Where are you going? Come back. We got Robert Downey Jr. You guys like him, right? Like, oh, come here. We got Keaton. You guys like him, right? Come on.
Yeah, I hear you. But that was a tidbit I didn't know, was that it was set in a hotel room. Yeah,
definitely.
Cool. But back to the celebration of Batman Forever, they then dropped us off in front of the theater, where they have, of course, the Batmobile designed by Tim Flattery. So I should send this over to him. I did try to get Tim to join us at LA Comic-Con, but he's not located in LA, so he would have needed like a special trip over there.
Is it true what they
didn't run out?
Is it true what they say that he was looking through like a dirty magazine or something, and he based the Batmobile? No, the Joel Schumacher, and he based the look of this off like let's say like a certain kind of toy, basically. That's what I've heard.
I don't think Tim brought that up to us in the episode.
Okay,
because he was the one who designed it.
Rumor I heard. Okay, yeah, maybe it's just a rumor. Maybe that was a joke.
Makes sense though with some of the other stories that were provided in that Batman Icons Unearthed.
It's got a very I mean, most cars, to be fair, have kind of a phallic-y,
especially the Batmobile with this, because it's always long. A lot of them are long. Though Pattinson's got the wide one.
The rib cage too. It's ribbed for Gotham's pleasure. I don't know.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, we get off, and then like what was really cool about that event too is they started playing songs from the movie soundtracks of the 90s.
It's not
films.
blue.
It's also not blue. Yeah.
What the fuck? It's like the McFarlane
or something.
It's like the McFarlane toy, man. What the hell?
Yeah. But yeah, they played music from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. They even played this was a deeper cut. I really gave them props for this one. So they played Iggy Pop's The Passenger, which is an older song, older than the movies, I think. But Michael Hutchence did a cover of it, and that was on the Batman Forever soundtrack. So that's why they were playing that song. They were playing the original version of a song that has a cover on the Batman Forever soundtrack. So somebody who was DJing there knew what they were doing in terms of like what songs to do. We also got like food that was of a theme, as you can see. So these are the different cupcakes that were available. There was also kind of a Batman cookie, but I didn't take a picture of that because it was literally it was Batman. Like it was literally just the bat signal type of thing. This was cool though, because you got a Riddler one, you got a Two-Face one.
I was thinking about this today. This corn reminds me of this. When I was a kid, I had a Batman animated series like CD-ROM game, and it was like the first, like, it's one of those where it's like a little kids game, and they had a level where you played Two-Face in some sort of like matching game where it was like coins or something else, and like you had to click one, and he would get like mad whenever he lost, be like, or like when it was his turn, this burned into my memory. He'd go, "My turn," or something like that. He'd start flipping him. He's like, you got lucky this time. Like he'd get like really salty.
The things that they would come up with, because it's just like that was supposed to be fun.
Yeah, I gotta send it to you at some point. Certain ones were fun. I remember when you went into the city, you
Mm-hmm.
would hear Mark Hamill's Joker talk to you and make like some silly joke and laugh.
Huh.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up and send it to you at some point.
Yeah, definitely show it to me. But yeah, they had Batman Forever themed cupcakes. They did serve burgers, but it was not the McDonald's superhero burger. So
What
that
the
was
fuck?
Yeah, I know. So the guy who was in charge of the music was not also in charge of the food. Otherwise, I'm
fucked
sure we would have
up.
gotten that. Yeah, they fucked up there. I got the Two-Face cupcake, but our $10 Patreon guys, I showed all more pictures than what you guys are getting because I showed the stuff that's unrelated to
I
Forever.
also saw the car, Batman Forever car, and like the '89 car. I told you years
Yeah.
ago when they used to do those car shows, like in the
Mhm.
'90s. I saw like the '89 one, and then the Batman Forever one, maybe even the Batman and Robin one. It might have been before that, honestly. But I remember seeing those two at a car show. Pretty
They had
cool.
the Batman and Robin one and the Batman and Robin like Redbird cycle there too. On the
Yeah, they had
outside.
the footage. I'll never forget this. They had like
Mhm.
the footage from the movie, or maybe even a trailer on like a small screen
Yeah.
playing next to the car. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They the cupcake, the $10 tier guys on the monthly meetup, I showed this to them and they're like, is it one flavor on one side and another on the other? And I'm like, sadly no, that was just the frosting.
Yeah.
But
We
then
sent them all cupcakes. That's one of the the benefits. Send it in the mail. It's gonna be a few weeks late though. It'll be stale.
But then Nolan, Nolan Moore, our Patreon patron, was like, well, maybe it's symbolic that he's still Harvey on the inside. So, I think you put more thought into it than they did.
Yeah, definitely. But just
But
eat the cupcake.
inside the lobby, though, were props and costumes. And so the guesser was in there. And I had no idea the guesser actually had his name on the prop, on the box, as you can see here. He does look creepier, actually, here than in the movie, partially because of the lighting, as well as the fact that he didn't have the jacket on.
Because
Maybe
Riddler took it off of him.
I guess so. I mean, I'm sure maybe in real life it was just moths ate it or something. But
Yeah.
it's still like it was really cool to be greeted with this. This is the first thing that you see when you walk into the main entrance. is the
That's so
guesser
cool.
here. Yeah.
Do you think they added that later, maybe, or you think that was originally on there, the guesser thing?
Added where in the event?
The writing on it, the guesser writing.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Well, I don't see why they would need to add it later. If it's,
It looks like it fits the paint on the top, so who
yeah,
knows? We'll have to
it's
go back
probably-
and watch, maybe.
yeah, I think it's probably still in it because
Yeah.
it is the name that's in the script is the guesser.
That's cool, though.
We do have a variety of different magazines, prop magazines that I don't really remember seeing as much. Maybe the ones with Batman on them.
Definitely.
The Bruce Wayne ones were potentially in Edward's cubicle, but you've got Chase Meridian stuff on the left with her having a schizoid dementia article, another one on aberrant behavior. Then we've got Bruce Wayne articles, we've got Batman articles, and then also notice the play on words. So instead of People Magazine, it's Persons Magazine on the right up there.
Her lives.
Lives, Gotham Lives instead of Life. Today's Psychologist instead of Psychology Today. Gothampolitan.
Persons.
Yeah, Gothampolitan instead of Cosmopolitan. So very funny.
That's crazy.
And then as we go on the other side, more of Today's Psychologist, Gotham Science, but also the Guesser's puzzle book, which we had talked about in the script. Like you had read that off and when we did the Schumacher Cut episode, when we were reenacting the scene. But there it is. Featured
the,
Guesser riddles.
And the Enigmatech one, like wasn't there like I remember you guys going over like a lot of behind the scenes pictures and stuff.
Mhm.
Wasn't there one with at like Jim Carrey where he had a hard hat on and he was like driving and making like a goofy face and everything?
It might have been for this. I don't remember seeing the magazine article, but they might have tried something with that. But yeah, for sure, they took a picture and tried it out with this Gotham Science magazine that we're
Cool.
seeing here. And then, of course, different props, Riddler props. So we've got the box, which is basically a blender with styrofoam in it, and then the cane. They could have popped the cane out, because he has the pop up at one point when he uses it to open the Batcave entrance.
Is it metal? Like when you looked at it, was it kind of metallic or?
It looked metallic, but like it's kind of hard to tell in some way because it's just you can't touch it or anything. It's just inside the glass box. So I would think it's like probably most likely what it is like a metallic looking plastic for it to be light enough for Jim Carrey to do that twirling.
Yeah, because
when
was he
blows up the
complaining
Batmobile.
about hitting himself or something with it like a few times, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Like there might be just enough weight to it to give the illusion on screen, but not like have it be completely metal.
Yeah,
But maybe
no,
I'm wrong. I don't.
his
Maybe I'm
arms would
wrong.
get tired, maybe.
Yeah. We got Chase, the Riddler, Two-Face
Nice.
over here. So great stuff. Two-Face himself even had. Also, I never really noticed Riddler's shoes on there. He's kind of got like these green moccasins in a. On
Sponsored
there.
by Nike. Maybe not this time.
Yeah. But yeah, we had Two-Face. Even some of the latex makeup or the remnants of the latex
Oh,
makeup
wow.
that was on there. So you can see that on the right. That was in its own glass box. One surprise, too, outside of the Riddler outfit, the sparkly Riddler outfit that he wears towards the end. But they also have this question mark chair, which I don't remember Edward ever sitting in, but I do remember Dr. Chase Meridian sitting on it in the poster and in Nicole Kidman's photo shoot. So
I want that couch, man.
there's the question mark couch in the background that you do see from the whole like Batman will come for me scene.
Batman?
Now, do you recognize this? Because
The-
we're looking at this guy that's like a mannequin head with a top hat on top of a table that looks like it's melting. And it
Refresh
was
my
next to the
memory.
couch. I'm gonna ask the audience to refresh my memory.
Oh, okay. I thought
I'm
this
like,
was a test.
I'm like, I don't
Maybe
remember this.
in Two-Face's like hideout, possibly.
yeah,
I don't remember
maybe, yeah.
seeing it, but that's where I would probably place it if I had to guess.
Let us know, guys. Let us know where this is from, because I was intrigued when I looked at it and I couldn't place it. So let us know. The Bat computer was here as well.
Nice. I didn't realize it had that little thing right
Bat
there.
symbol in the
or the little
chair.
that little pop-up part of it right there.
Oh yeah,
of
well
the-
that's the screen. Where it's
Yeah.
most famously in the part where he's looking at Chase doing that glamour shot.
Oh yeah, it's for his private collection.
Yeah, which we figured out was from the TV interview that she would have given outside the bank that is in one of the deleted scenes.
They have like a
in the
wind
Schumacher Cut.
machine for interviews. What the hell?
It was just a windy night. I don't know.
Sure.
That chair does not look comfortable.
He's like,
there's not much padding at all.
it's like
That-
in Gotham Knight where he's just like, I work through pain.
So you sure you don't want a gaming chair or something? I work through pain.
Batman doesn't need to be comfortable.
Alfred, I don't need it. So then we also got the Panther bat suit, not the sonar suit. The sonar suit was not there. Maybe they were too busy using it for the auditions for the
That's-
DCU Batman, since they always use that one apparently for the
That's
auditions.
one of the best suits.
The Panther
From
suit.
the 90s era, from the 90s
Yeah.
era, that is definitely one of the best suits.
Yeah, I mean, I love the lighting on this too. On this, I mean, this is credit to Ivan Khoe. He's my friend who took these pictures, and so he made it look good too with some of the,
Yeah.
the filter and the adjusting the brightness and stuff. But yeah, it looks really good in there. And then of course we got Robin, who is in there
Nice.
too, of course. So again, no sonar suit, but it had a good amount. And again, it's just like they didn't have to do this. They could have just
I
had a
didn't realize-
lobby with other stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that was there.
The belt kind of dangles unless they just didn't tighten it enough. His utility
Maybe,
belt kind of hangs low. It's kind of like that shot in '89 where
Oh, yeah, when he
Batman
turns around.
and like the belt just falls a little bit for like
Yeah.
that's the only shot it does that in. Yeah.
Yeah. You also kind of notice, I didn't realize how much of kind of thong like, or Borat's getup when he's in that swimsuit. It's kinda
Yeah.
like that in the crotch area.
Bro, it's even worse in if you've ever obviously you have seen like Nicolas Cage's like Superman
Oh, yeah.
suit, that one test suit they did where it's like the red trunks, it's literally going like it's framing his like crotch basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
It calls more
this,
attention to it.
this is supposed to be a teenager too. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
It's probably a good thing then that it was 25-year-old Chris O'Donnell as opposed to
Yeah.
an actual 17-year-old.
Yeah,
So
Jesus
like,
Christ.
it's a good thing. Yeah. What was cool too is that they had this image everywhere, which was
Nice.
for our listeners. It's basically the image of Riddler putting the question mark above the bat signal. So they kind of had that on loop for a while throughout too, on like different screens that were outside, just to celebrate this again.
Who
Like
the hell's doing that?
the Riddler. So it was again really great to see. And then of course it did have an introduction from Michael Uslan as well. who had a similar message to fans about the Schumacher Cut. Because when he was promoting our panel for LA Comic-Con, you could just see a bunch of people being like, hey, like, Michael, release the Schumacher Cut. How come the Schumacher Cut's not happening? What, are you screening the Schumacher Cut at the Warner Brothers lot? And he's like, hey, like, it's out of my jurisdiction. It's not up to me. But the big message that I'll repeat that he gave at Batman Day and on our panel, and I'm repeating here, is like, hey, show your passion, but in a nice way, because any level of entitlement or saying screw WB or any of that type of hostility is not going to get you the Schumacher Cut at all.
Yeah. No, you gotta have it. Damn it.
I picked these up too at the Warner Brothers Studio store. I know somebody who works there. Corey's a big Batman Forever fan. We were talking and he was recommending these pins, and I think they're exclusive to here. But
it's pretty cool.
I wore these to promote the panel at LA Comic-Con. For those who are just listening, there's one that has the symbol of the question mark over the bat symbol and says Batman Forever. So
I have
that's
a
one
t-shirt
pin.
that has that. I think I've shown you it before
Yeah.
from back in the 90s vintage where it has that. I had one as a kid too.
I think I have something like I had something like that. It doesn't fit me anymore, but I had that. There's one of the cowl. There's one of the Batmobile, and then there's one of Two-Face. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't Riddler, but I guess that they felt it was already represented by the question mark that's on the logo.
Tommy Lee Jones is just like, he's had enough. Let me have one.
Don't sanction that buffoonery.
Yeah, come on.
The pin instead.
And me.
So before we wrap, I'd like to thank a few people who were involved as well with the panel and the promotion. So Dan whipped up this image of the Batman Forever 30th anniversary Q&A panel. But you might notice that the image of Batman Forever, the poster, is a little different in the sense that we have this green mist, and that is a textless version, an earlier version of the poster that was provided to us by our longtime supporter, Logan Wood. So thank you, Logan, for providing that for us.
Thanks, Logan.
I threw that in there, and I was like, hey, we got to put this in because it's another additional Easter egg to be like, hey, like this is a cool, like little thing you don't usually see that often. So that was there. Also wanted to thank, obviously, LA Comic-Con for accepting us into the panel. Again, we pitched this panel to San Diego Comic-Con, and it was like right after Val Kilmer's passing. But there were, San Diego Comic-Con is very popular. So I found out this past weekend as well, John Semper, who was the head writer on Spider-Man, the animated series, he had 3 panels at LA Comic-Con, but he's like, I pitched these 3 panels to San Diego. They only gave me 1. So I was like, damn, if they only gave him 1. And he's the one who did Spider-Man the 90s. Like, no wonder I didn't get the San Diego Comic-Con panel for Batman Forever.
You gotta check out those comics, by the way, at some point. The 90s, like, revival comics of Spider-Man.
I haven't read them. But he had I was at one panel with him and along with, I met up with Tyler, who I mentioned earlier, and Sean Willits, who's another fan of ours. And we all kind of just coincidentally ran into each other there. But I was like, if there's a superhero stuff you should know panel that's not run by me, it's this panel, which was about it's the continuation of Spider-Man the animated series in terms of how Peter would have found MJ. And Alex and I have kind of already talked about, like, we can cover that in a future episode.
Definitely.
Jonathan London over at Geekscape. Geekscape is our, the main podcast of our podcast network, and we're happy to be part of it. He helped us submit this panel. Rory Morrison is in charge of the panels over at LA Comic-Con, accepted our panel for the 2nd year in the row. So thank you, Rory. I'm sure she's flooded with all sorts of panels and questions that are redundant at times, but she, obviously really helped us out. And Michael's son, David Uslan, helped us out by getting his father in with his badge. So big thanks to them. And then, of course, the Superhero Stuff You Should Know live crew is what I'm calling them, since Leander and Ivan have been helping me out in the past as well. But Leander Nicholson is my manager for my writing stuff, but he helps and assists me on a lot of these live events that are here in LA, whether it's at LA Comic-Con or at Cinephile. Provides water for the guests and other guest relation type stuff. Ivan Khoe, a good buddy of mine, he took a lot of the still pictures that we use for promotion stuff. And then Nick Heinze, this is foreshadowing in the Fantastic Four episode, but Nick works over at Cinephile. He was a lifesaver when it came to the Fantastic Four panel, and Leander and I talked, and we're just like, hey, Nick, why don't we just bring you to LA Comic-Con, and you can be in charge of recording the video and recording the audio and putting that together. And just it was great to have this team, because I had said, hey, like our panel's at 11, so we should get there by 10 and meet at 10. Everybody showed up at like 9:30. So like it was we got a great live crew over in LA here. And yeah, I mean, hopefully one day when you're down here, you can meet everybody involved, Alex.
Definitely.
So and then, we've also got Dan, who's been helping us out with all the editing and is our editor and producer. Thank you, Dan, for editing this and providing some of the other visuals involved. So lots of thanks to go around. And with that is superhero stuff you should know.
Superhero stuff you should know.
Now, let's get to the comments. I'll have you read this first one from Django.
Okay. Django 2700. I don't really understand the need to make a separate universe. I read Resurrection and it was okay, but was disappointed they're separating it from Batman Forever, which is a great film, by the way. Big hit in 95. I would have liked to see Edward Nygma early beginnings. Disappointing.
What are your thoughts on this, Alex?
I mean, I don't know. Like, for me, so like the way that he's writing it, he can't really go beyond, like he can't really touch Batman Forever. Like he's basically said that before. They only have the license for like
Burton.
89 and then like Returns, and that's it. Like it's only the first two. So even if he wanted to, he can't really do that anyway. And also, to kind of address something that's been bouncing around in my head recently, for me, it's all gravy, basically. Like it's all the same for me with Batman. It's just like, goofy, whatever tone, whatever you guys even said it too, continuity, whatever. If that's your thing, cool. But for me, I'm like, is it a good story? If you like it, it's a good story. Then who cares? Basically, it's just like you enjoyed the story. That should be your first thing, not like, oh, where does this fit? Like, and hey, if that's your thing, and I'll agree, I did like Batman Forever, but like, what would the early beginnings of Edward Nygma be if it was the one from Batman Forever? We already got that, arguably, with that. It would just be him working at Wayne Industries for like years and slowly developing an obsession with Bruce Wayne. That would be.
But Alex, there'd be more Stickley.
What the hell is going on here? You're right. You know what?
You would have gotten something cool.
Never mind. I'm calling security. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like it's that's too bad. I hate you didn't like it, but it's not going to be for everybody. Everybody's got their own taste. Whatever.
To reiterate what I said on the panel, I was like, does it need to connect to the Burton-verse in order for it to be quote unquote valid? I don't think so. I don't think it does. I mean, and also as fans, isn't it just better for us to enjoy multiple things?
Yeah.
Can't we enjoy these things without it being under the umbrella of continuity or what's canon or what's not? I mean, I think
I'll do it like this.
Go ahead.
I can enjoy this era, which is like way more serious. I can also enjoy this Teen Titans Go, which is like really goofy. Both of them have Deathstroke in it. Both of them are radically different, and I can enjoy both as like their own separate things for like their own separate reasons. Like each thing has its place, like what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't think it negates the existence just because it's not in the same continuity. It's like, I think I saw something where people were bringing up like, James Gunn, you've erased these movies, and he's like, I haven't really erased anything. Like,
it's up on your shelf.
Yeah, like DCEU still has existed. It's just not going to continue. Like it doesn't erase other things. Yeah. So I think to support a little bit of what Django's saying, I think Batman Forever is richer in story when you see it as a continuation because of the whole thing with Dick Grayson, with the whole thing of like, hey, like I know what it's like to kill. I know what it's like to get your revenge. Like that. There was a question in terms of favorite scene. I know that was more for the rest of the guests than for me. But my answer to that would be that scene with Dick Grayson. The whole like, the idea of how once you get your revenge, you keep going out for more until one terrible morning you wake up and realize. Yeah, exactly. All that stuff, and then the part where Dick says, you don't understand. Your parents weren't killed by a maniac, and he just looks at them coldly. Exactly, and I'm like, dude, like that's clearly a Joker reference. Like, if we're going to go off of the whole post-crisis thing of like, well, maybe it was Joe Chill, or like maybe it was some mugger he's never caught. Like, to me, that's such a Joker reference in terms of like, yes, he was also killed by a maniac. It just makes it richer when you see it that way. Sure, there's stuff in terms of like, how come Gotham looks different? How come the Batmobile's different? How come all these things?
Both Wayne killings were haunting, by the way. Like both in '89 and in that one. I remember as a kid watching that part with like Joe Chill, or sorry, it's probably Napier in this version, like killing the Waynes and just seeing this shadowy figure and everything. Like it was kind of creepy as a kid seeing all that.
For sure. So I mean, I do agree, Drango, that having it connected does make Forever richer. But again, having them disconnected, I don't think doesn't mean to the extreme of Forever no longer being relevant. Because clearly, as we can see with this episode and the panels and Batman Day, it is. I just don't think it needs to be quote unquote canonized in order for it to be legitimate, because it already is. It already exists. So that's how I see it. And as we can see with the panel, right, you've got the Batchler saying like, well, we wrote it as a sequel. And we've got Michael Uslan being like, I see it as a separate universe. Like even the people involved in it are kind of like, yeah, it's whatever you want.
Yeah. It's entertainment. It's escapism at the end of the day. Don't get, too wrapped up in it.
Yeah. The Ron father commented as well. This is for your interview of John Jackson Miller.
Hey.
Very relevant too today, because today is when they revealed Joe Quinones's illustration of the Riddler of Batman Revolution, and he looks obviously very much like Robin Williams as opposed to Martin Short, and kind of implies that there's more than one Riddler in the Burton-verse, the official Burton-verse, which is pretty cool, I think. Ron Father says, great interview to you, Alex.
Thank
really
you.
Enjoyed Batman Resurrection. Looking forward to Batman Revolution when it releases. Hope someday to see these books along with the Batman 89 comics turned into DC animated movies. Would love to see them continue the Burton-verse in film, even if it's animated. Well,
yeah.
We've also got the closest thing you got is the Newverse creative audio dramas that we're plugging. So, you can check those out. We did turn the Batman 89 Shadows comic arc into an audio drama. We are in the process of writing Batman Resurrection, but it's going to take a while because that's a long book.
Mm-hmm.
Batman Revolution is even longer. Batman 89 Echoes, we do have plans for it. But right now, Tim's got a lot of projects going on for Newverse Creative. So for now, just going to have to be patient. But we also have other Burton-verse type of stories and Schumacher-verse stories to cover. So
yeah, like the Schumacher Cut, your guys' version.
Yeah. All right. Like, Alex, you want to cover this. So I'll just say this. Ruben is one of our fans. I run into him at like every con in California for the past couple years or so. Great guy. One of these days, Rubens, you got to show up to one of our panels, dude. But we ran into each other like right when I walked into the hall at LA Comic Con. I got a picture with him, and he turns to me and he's just like, "Your co-host seems to hate my fan casting for Stickley," because we have a recurring bit here from his comments. So, Alex, you might as well read this and address it.
No, for the record, before I read this, it's a bit, man. I'm just playing. Like, I always look forward to your comments, man. It's always like you give me an excuse to do the silly impression I do of Stickley. So I always appreciate it. Also, solid Edward Scissorhands. I'm gonna get hate for this. I didn't finish the movie. I gotta finish that movie at some point. I'll be honest with you.
Good side, man.
Yeah. I gotta give it another shot. My wife loves it, so I'm sure we'll end up watching it at some point. I do love Sleepy Hollow, though. That's one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. But yeah, anyway. So, did he change his name?
No, that's just his screen name.
Oh, okay. So I'm just gonna call him Ruben. So really cool that Alex got to interview the author for Batman Resurrection. And I fan cast Clayface's Crispin Glover. I can't wait for Batman Revolution and to fix the casting of Fred Stickley and Steve Buscemi. Oh man, you're gonna make me do it. What the hell is going on here? Back to work. Ruben. No, man, the only reason I say that is because in my mind, it's kind of like Robert Downey Jr. or like, where it's like there's only really one person that can play that role.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the incomparable damn, I'm a fan of him. Can't even come up. Ed Bagley Jr. And Bagley Jr. There we go. Took me a minute. I got an autographed picture of the guy. You think I'd remember his fucking name? God
got
damn.
that for Alex earlier this year at the Santa Ana screening of the Batman Forever 30th anniversary, which also had the Bachelors. But yeah, that was.
You told him. You told him I do that crappy impression. He's like, "Oh, that's lovely."
Specifically, I showed him our chats. And I'm like, hey, like every now and then he sends me this, and I showed him you showing the meme of him going, "What the hell is going on here?" And then he's like, "Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's lovely."
Back to work, man. He needs to come back.
Yeah. All right. Let's do the Patreon name. So you can do this. It's a Batman Forever episode, so I'll give you the go ahead to do this in a Stickley voice if you want.
All right. On to our Patreon. Halsey D. Corbin, Slight Rebellion off Madison, Choco Milk, Super Inframan, Jeffrey Scott Richards / STCT Productions, Nick Noir, Renee Valdez, Derek Osborne, Jesus. What the hell is going on here?
Back to work, Alex.
Yeah, I'm calling security.
Jason Price.
Jason Price. So I'll do it. Don't interrupt me. Rebellious Monkey 98, Cyber 6, Devin, Benjamin Vega, Nick Gonzalez, Nolan Moore, Tito G, Anna Kid. Is that a new one?
Annie Kid, yeah.
Yeah, nice. And Ben Lee Page. 2 new ones?
Yeah.
Nice.
And one that's named Ben. So
cool. Awesome. You got a competitor. He's got to be Ben too.
Shout out to from Alfie. Alfie says thank you.
A number one supporter.
Yeah. It's just me and other names.
Yeah. It's just, hold on, let me. That's also some of the hate comments we get sometimes. Like, man, fuck that guy, Alex. I hate him.
Plot twist. It's been me. It was me, Alex.
It was me, Alex.
Keep me the whole time. Yes.
Gotta keep me humble. Dude, this new co-host sucks. We always talk bad about Snyder all the time. Damn it.
Yeah. So thank you to our Patreon patrons. Also, thank you to our other supporters: Matt Herring, rest in peace; Leander Nicholson, who helped us out with the panel; Logan Wood, who helped us out with the promo of the panel with the image; Newverse Creative, where we did the audio dramas; Triple Threat Comics. Shout out to Ian. We're going to try to bring him on the show soon. The Bat Feed, whom I collaborate with for the Arkham tapes; Aaron Quinn, whom I'm going to collaborate on for the Crow.
Can't wait, dude.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting. I got. Wait, hold on. Still got.
Oh, nice.
I got this on today. The fake Batman. It's in the style of Batman the Animated Series with the lightning strike. It's awesome. One of those. Yeah,
I should get one.
Definitely. I'll send you the link.
Please do. But Mike at Prof. E. Chicano Batman, he turned me into Quick Change Batman. So thank you, Mike. Rob Ailing, Robert Schumann, Sparkageddon, Cookie Noms, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Ian H., Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, Tway N., Stage Bat, at W.Media, Paul G., Sean Willits, whom I saw at LA Comic Con. You should have shown up at our panel. Ruben A., and his Stickley fan casting. Yeet I, Mine Kidzag, Cole Watkins, who's at Ye Old King at Creative Sparrow.
Yodel King, there we go.
Yodel King, that's Ye Old King _ Creative Sparrow. Cole came up with the design for that Quick Change Superhero Stuff You Should Know version, combining the SSYSK with the Quick Change design. Drew Griffin, who was at the panel, and Neil over at 1995 Batman. Cinephile Video, of course, including Nick Heinze, who helped us out, and Tyler Sandifer, who was there at the panel and at LA Comic Con. So please support us at Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/superheroSYSK, where you mainly get the $5 tier and the $10 tier. $5 tier, you get early access to all of our videos and episodes, including this one. The $5 tier guys have already seen this. And you'll get exclusive episodes as well. just for that one exclusive episode a month at least. And sometimes those are deeper dives into things. We've gone over the Daredevil novelization. We've gone over the Batman
That was a
Forever
fun episode.
That was, yeah. The novelization ones are always fun. We did the Batman Forever Junior novelization by Alan Grant as well.
That's right.
On the Patreon. And then on the $10 monthly meetup, you get all of those because you've been part of the $5 tier. But on the $10 tier, in addition to that, you get to meet and chat with Alex and me in a virtual space. By the way, I don't know if
You
that
get to
was
see
clear.
this eye candy in person.
I don't know if that was clear. It's not an in-person type of thing, but it's a
Yeah.
virtual space. We got to
It
talk
feels
about
like it's
all-
in person.
Yeah. We're going to talk about all the latest superhero movie news, TV shows. You get to influence the show in some ways. I give you polls for you to vote on things like the thumbnails or what episodes to cover. And if we have any interviews, virtual interviews or podcast interviews, ones that aren't panels, because I think panels, we kind of have to keep it within a certain amount of period of time and to the people who are there. But for these types of interviews, you can get the opportunity to submit questions for future guests. And then we're also selling, if you don't have the money for a recurring subscription, but you want to donate a little bit, we do sell collections of our Patreon episodes. These have like deeper dives. There's a deeper dive collection of the Tim Burton Batman films. There's a deeper dive collection of the Penguin show that I led. You can get some of these series for about $12 each, just a one-time $12 donation to get a whole bunch of exclusive episodes that are never going to go on public. So all that's going to help out our producer, Dan, for the work that he does in editing and preparing the episodes and the occasional social media posts. He does all those sorts of things. And also the money goes to the StreamYard subscription that we use here that enables us to record this way. So please support us if you can. And you can follow us on our socials. Our handles are at SuperheroSYSK pretty much everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. And you can email us at superherostuffyoushouldknow@gmail.com. All right, Alex, let's plug your podcasts.
Cool. Before I do that, though, I was when you reminded me when you were talking about the panels, though, there's this thing from this radio station I used to listen to. You're talking about the length of like panels, how they have to be short.
Yeah.
It's always stuck with me from this radio station. Like it was late at night. It's like, yeah, we're going all night, baby. Something like that. It's like that's how we are on this show. It's like it could be an hour, it could be 2 hours. We're going all night, baby. Anyway.
Only half of this episode was the panel.
Yeah, I know. It's like when people are like, "What the fuck?" Like this thing is like an hour. These guys don't shut up.
I did say, hey, it's an extended episode, guys. If you want to check it out, you can see that we
Just skip to
extended.
this part. These guys are still talking. You want to listen to the actual episode. But yeah. So anyway, so obviously right here you can see I do flashbacks with one of the guys you heard me read off, Choco Milk, aka Brady. Flashbacks is a Flash rewatch podcast where we cover every episode of the Flash show on the CW, as well as some other Flash related things and some of like the crossovers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be coming out with some new episodes soon. We're like about to approach 10 and 11. And eventually we'll get through season 2. We're in no rush. We're kind of taking our time. We're enjoying it. But if you like rewatch podcasts, though, I would recommend also to watch Review More Girls. My wife and her cousin do that show together. That show is about family, and they are obviously family, so they relate it to some of their personal stuff, like some of the things they watch. They kind of bring it back to some personal anecdotes and everything. It's very fun and charming. You see the natural chemistry between the both of them. A very good show. I produced that show. And then Night of the Batman. If you're also a fan of my wife, like I am, we have that show where we talk everything Batman. There should be another episode coming out very soon where we do a part 2 of A World's Finest Thing. The first part will be on the Men of Steel podcast, which is a
nice.
Superman podcast. And then part 2 will conclude with part 2 starts with Batmite and Mr. Mixelplex. So that should be interesting. It's kind of one of those where it starts on like a year 2 or 3, like with them meeting, and then it goes through like each year or so of their lives, like through like different eras of like their continuity, basically. So by the time it ends, it was like in the 90s. So like I think it came out in 1999, so it ends like in the 90s era, basically. So kind of cool concept. I didn't even know about it before, by Carl Kessel, by the way. But yeah,
nice.
And then What Mean will come back soon. I actually have a plan for that, how I'm going to bring that back soon. I originally was going to post an older episode that was quote unquote lost, but I think I'll save that and just make like a newer episode where maybe it's like a holiday special kind of thing where we just kind of get back into being like, welcome back to the show, that kind of thing. And then we have Tangential Exchange. That's a new episode out now. So look forward to that too. That's our most laid back show. Me and my friend Trip just kind of laugh and joke around. That show, I've joked before, I'm kind of serious. It is just for me and him. So I'm kind of surprised that other people like it. But that one, honestly, is just for mine and his enjoyment. So if other people like it, that's cool too. I know Brady's also a fan of it. So yeah, anyway.
Awesome. All right. In terms of my stuff, or kind of a future superhero stuff you should know episode, if you're in LA and you want to come to Cinephile for one of our live events, we have a new one coming up. And as you can see from the visual, it's Captain America 1990, the Albert Pune cut. This is the
not
director's
this one.
cut. Yeah, not the 1990 theatrical, I guess, cut, but the director's cut that has been released recently.
Awesome poster, by the way.
Yes, this one is also courtesy of Logan. Logan sent this over to us, so I'm going to use it for the promo of it. But this is the Albert Pune cut. It will be on November 11th, Veterans Day, and that was the idea of our special guest, screenwriter Stephen Tolkien, who wrote the script. He's going to be the special guest that we have. We'll do a brief Q&A. Hopefully have some time for some audience questions, and then we'll screen the movie. I have not seen the director's cut. I think I'll be seeing it for the first time in the audience for this. I'll obviously be rewatching the original cut beforehand just for comparison's sake, but what we'll do is we'll do that event on the 11th, and then Alex and I will record the rest of the episode, which will be our thoughts on comparing it, because Alex has or is getting a copy as well of the director's cut, so he'll be included into that episode. Even if he's not here in person, he'll be there for the rest of the episode for us to talk about the differences in the cuts.
I'll jump in on Zoom or something. We'll figure something out.
Just mysteriously show up on the screen. I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah, that'll be November 11th at Cinephile. Also, we talked about this earlier. I have an animated movie coming out directed by friend of the podcast, Aaron Quinn, a faithful adaptation of the first chapter of the James O'Barr graphic novel, The Crow. I co-wrote the adaptation with Aaron himself. Aaron's also animating, in addition to directing and co-writing, producing, all those things. I, in addition to co-writing it, am also the voice of the Crow. So really looking forward to that.
Give us a taste of that. What does your Crow voice sound like?
I don't know if I want to give that away right now.
Oh, okay. Keep it secret. I hear you.
I want to keep that. I kind of want to keep that to when Aaron's ready to release the trailer. I will say though, I did meet a Crow fan, a Crow cosplayer at the convention. We took a picture. I showed him this, and then I introduced myself, and I was like, "My name is Ben," and he's like, "No way!" And I was like, "That's an interesting reaction." His name is Ben too.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of this interesting coincidence, and I told him like, "Hey, we're going to do this this animated thing coming up." So looking
My
forward
name's
to that.
Ben Juan too.
That would have been crazier. But yeah, I mean, I share that to Aaron as well, and we use it to promote the upcoming animated film. But I've seen some clips, and it looks amazing. Like Aaron's really, he's really killed it in terms of how good it looks. So definitely be on the lookout for that. He's under director Aaron Quinn on YouTube, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. And we'll of course announce it and probably have him on, or I mean, I haven't talked to him about him coming on, but I'm sure he would want to promote it as well, and we can talk about the comic and the movie and
definitely
all sorts of stuff. So I think that's pretty much it when it comes to the plugs. You heard a bunch of mine earlier anyway. So with that, we see without seeing. To us, darkness is as clear as daylight. What are we? I'm Ben Juan.
I'm Alex, college student.
And this is Superhero Stuff You Should Know.